Number 6. I'm your biggest fanatic. Now, some people wouldn't really think of this episode when they think of SpongeBob, as they don't normally put this in their top 10 lists. But to be honest with you, I had to put it in my top 10 list because, well, this episode, in my opinion, is one of the funniest episodes in SpongeBob history. I'm not even kidding. All of the jokes in here are awesome, like Kevin getting stung, SpongeBob saying hi Kevin, Patrick touching everything in the museum. Everything in this episode is just so frickin' hilarious. As for the story itself, it's a pretty well-told and well-written episode, I must say, as they've really pulled out all of the stops here in order to make this episode really, really funny. So yeah, I definitely recommend I'm Your Biggest Fanatic. It's one of the funniest SpongeBob episodes ever made, and it will have you laughing out loud from beginning to end. 10 out of 10. Number 5. Sailor Mouth. Ah yes, Sailor Mouth. One of the best SpongeBob episodes ever made, and my second favorite episode of Season 2. Oh yeah, where do I even begin? So, SpongeBob and Patrick find bad words, and they say it in front of everyone in the funniest of ways possible. Like, oh, oh my god. They are swearing like sailors in this episode. Hence the title of the episode, Sailor Mouth, or it may be a reference to Sailor Moon. I don't know, but anyways, this is a very funny and relatable episode because many of us had said a bad word when we were kids and we got in big trouble for it. And we can definitely relate that to this episode, as SpongeBob and Patrick are once again swearing like sailors, using all bad words imaginable. Even Mr. Krabs joins in on the fun in swearing. Well, he doesn't really join in on the fun. He just hit his foot on a rock. But anyways, this episode is just so hilarious. It is a very well-told story, and it is just so frickin' hilarious and so relatable. I can go on about this episode all day, but we just have to continue right now. Number 4. The algae's always greener. Ah yes, one of my personal favorite episodes, and my second favorite episode of Season 3. Now, this episode actually hits me a lot more as an adult than it did when I was a kid. Why? Because everything in this episode is probably written a little more for teens and adults, as there may be some reasons as to why. Especially since Mr. Krabs is in the nude in this episode. But that's not it. There are also more hilarious moments and sequences in this episode, like trying to catch Mr. Krabs by putting any types of clothing on him. Plankton saying, "Oh my goodness," when he sees a nasty patty. Get it? Oh boy. But anyways, there's also SpongeBob being very hyperactive, Squidward being very lazy, too much sauce, Plankton becoming insanely cheap, Soiled It, the whole beginning bit with Old Man Jenkins bumping into a pole, and there's just so many hilarious moments and sequences in this episode. And the writing is very, very relatable for teens and adults, as sometimes when I'm at work, I just feel like I could do something better in someone else's shoes, when in reality, I can't, because, well, you should always be yourself. And I do like the message of this episode. As I've said, is basically, you are who you are, and you shouldn't judge yourself for who you are, how you act, or how you should do things. And I have to say, that is definitely a relatable message for teens and adults who are just entering the workforce for the very first time. So yeah, the algae is always greener, my fourth favorite episode of SpongeBob SquarePants.